Coin traders, what's going on? How are we doing? Thanks for joining me for the show. Solana, SOL on the ticker, on the cusp of a new all-time high. Now, depending on which exchange you do look at, we're sitting right around the 260 level. So kind of right around that point right now. And especially with Bitcoin here being on the cusp of almost $100,000. Pretty insane to finally see it after all this time we have been talking about when we would see $100,000 Bitcoin. And now we're only a very short way away. In fact, we actually did break above 99,000 today. 99,073 on Coinbase anyway for the high. So a lot of hype and speculation. Obviously, once this does hit 100,000, personally, I think that that's just going to accelerate the amount that this is getting immediate attention. And obviously, in that instance, what that will do is it'll push a lot of people into actually checking out crypto as an investment class. And obviously, with that comes a lot of interest, excitement, euphoria, initial buying, hype and buying, even more buying, you know, the typical cycle. So this is kind of the stage what we're looking at, especially with such a big catalyst. Historically, what we have seen is that when Bitcoin does break all-time highs, that's when we start to get a lot of media attention. But since we already had that and spent the better part of half of a year sitting in a sideways consolidation motion, this is just a huge explosion. Absolutely expecting that. And right now, definitely no signs of slowing down, especially with not that far of a breakout on top. In fact, if we actually look at where we were on the bottom up to this move, and then from there to the point of the breakout, would actually be looking at a target to the upside of about 114. So are expecting plenty of momentum to still push prices up on top. And especially right now, only about 3 working on the 4th bullish week, but the 3rd big week of magnitude and just over 3 days left remaining on this chart. So the whole point of this is that this is definitely going to be pushing a lot more media hype and speculation into the overall crypto space as an asset class, and especially with ETFs and all that stuff, great things coming. And so with Solana, that's definitely going to help push this up even more. So it's just a matter of when right now at that point. Now, I did have a question earlier whether or not I thought this would become a double top and we'd actually see a retracement. Now, it is possible that we actually get a little bit of a sell-off for Bitcoin right around and just above the $100,000 level, for example, since we are due for a cool-off. So that definitely could still happen for Solana, where we could set a new all-time high and then see it pull back in a retracement, potentially down to the $200,000 level, for example, where we saw previous resistance, and then resistance on the first move as well. So definitely a technical target in that instance. Obviously, no one knows what will happen, and it will come down to volume. But pretty much once we break this all-time high, we should still see momentum going plenty ham. And especially with Solana being kind of one of the big drivers for a lot of meme coins now in this current market cycle, I do think we have a lot greater potential to see a lot higher highs. And so I have seen some calls for speculation of hitting $1,000 Solana price target high. Definitely not past the realm of possibility. In fact, that would be about 4x here. So we're looking at Solana right now just dominating on top of BNB, which it actually smashed not too long ago. And now we're sitting with about $130 billion market cap compared to 90 billion. So way above BNB and sitting nicely in this number 4 spot. Would essentially assume number 3 if it weren't for stable coins. Personally, I hate that stablecoins are listed on the top 100 ranks based off of market caps, but nonetheless, I digress. So if we actually look at a potential 4x, we'd be looking at about $500,000, or excuse me, $500 billion for a market cap. And that would top Ethereum. Obviously, we think Ethereum is going to go a lot higher as well. But personally, I would expect the gap between Solana and Ethereum to actually get a lot tighter. And who knows about what happens this cycle? We could potentially see a flipping of Ethereum. But plenty of room to grow in order to shrink that gap. So we will stay tuned on that. But nonetheless, right now, very eager to see what happens in the coming days with Solana here, because we know that an absolute crossing of this all-time high is going to be happening. And then once that happens, no upside resistance points, which is kind of why we call this a blue sky breakout. And we are in price discovery mode, seeing action just driving to the upside, especially with no highlighting efforts for the bears to come in and slow down this bullish market. Now, besides Bitcoin, this is one of the few cryptos that has this bullish of a setup. In fact, what we actually saw is a very nice bullish cross of the weekly exponential moving averages last fall when the rest of the crypto space just kind of took off. And so we have seen Solana just maintaining extreme bullishness on top of these exponential moving averages, maintaining a clear line of support and defense on top of this 50-period EMA, which it did kick off, and now we are back to the upside. So a lot of other altcoins didn't necessarily have this, and they were still maintaining more or less a bearish scenario once again for these exponential moving averages. But with Solana, we just see such strength in this move right now that especially we do have a continuous trend forming since the start of last year. Excuse me, a year ago when we did have the start of this overall bull cycle and leading to a nice period of consolidation where we just got a lot of continuation now with this upside breakout. So for example, if we do want to look at another speculative price target based off of where we actually saw this flag pattern happen to the breakout, would be looking at about 340 plus. So from current prices, not necessarily the hugest, most extreme gains, but right now would be looking at about another 33% upside. So extremely doable for crypto, especially given where we're at so far, and especially given the potential for coming in and breaking this all-time high here soon. So flipping into the daily here, just want to talk about this previous level of resistance that we recently broke and could see a very nice downside support. Obviously, we have already back tested it once, kind of aligned with a 12-period daily EMA, and still not out of the realm of possibility to see a pullback and a test of this level if, in fact, we do get some liquidation sell-offs and immediate rejection following those breaks of not only 100,000 for Bitcoin, but also a new all-time high for Solana. Now, I do think we are going to be entering more of a super cycle, this type of rally, but right now, all this consolidation that we just broke out from kind of reminds me of the setup that we were looking at from pretty much April of 2021 down to when we had the breakout from July of 2021. Obviously, from their huge upside move, in fact, from the breakout point up to that high, we were looking at a gain of about 750%, so about an 8.5x return from there. So just speculation. So for example, even if we get half of the return, which is kind of normal based off of where we're at right now, do still need to keep scrunching this up to see what potential we could have. So for example, even up to the $1,000 mark, like we said. So about 400% gains from there would be right around that $1,000 mark. So that's a pretty good upside target if we actually talk about potential now for Solana, especially in the case of a strong market. So the next thing I do want to look at right now is just how we're actually looking at the overall volumes, because if we go ahead and look at volume, we're not actually seeing that much significant volume here coming in with respect to how much we have seen in previous cycles. Now, I actually want to flip over into Ethereum really quick, still on the weekly chart here, but with Ethereum, although we are seeing a nice rebound here coming up off this chart setup, just want to talk about how kind of like I was mentioning, we're not necessarily in as good of a weekly exponential moving average formation. And obviously now we are seeing Ethereum not being anywhere close to all-time highs. So about 44%, which isn't horrible, but still for relative speaking for all-time highs, not as close as Solana right now, leading right up on the cusp. And so with Bitcoin obviously at all-time highs and Solana, we do know that those are two of the stronger names and will probably be front-running this big cycle a little bit more than Ethereum, which obviously, as you can see, hasn't been getting as much hype, and even talks about the Ethereum ETF hasn't been as energizing as the Solana one, for example. So it's definitely a lot more apparent right now that Solana is kind of front running the hype and kind of the L1 space in terms of excitement and usage, because if we were seeing this play out, we would have already seen Ethereum kind of be a lot closer to the all-time highs than we would have for Solana, for example. Now, keep in mind, too, this isn't me saying that we're not going to see new all-time highs for Ethereum and that we're not going to set new greater highs and be extremely bullish for Ethereum as well. I just think right now it's been proven and we are seeing complete evident signs of a lot more hype and excitement coming in for a new chain. And for this case, we are seeing it come in for Solana right now. And that's why we are so close to a new Solana all-time high with an extremely nice bullish setup. So we do have plenty of room and growth opportunity for this. And like we talk about, we do see parabolic moves frequently in crypto, but they do start to stall out. They consolidate sideways, and then that's what forms the base for the next leg of the next parabolic move, which is kind of what we're seeing right now. So in the current setup, we're actually seeing plenty of opportunity and room for this thing to continue growing because we know that it's part of a greater parabolic move in this space right now. So if we actually go ahead and zoom in, you can see how we're not necessarily in that huge vertical stage just yet. So there's plenty more upside room to grow, before worrying about any sort of complete sell-off or retracement based off of just being super far extended on a parabolic chart. Now, if you're not following me here over on Twitter currently, drop me a follow at coin_trades is the handle. We will be talking a lot more about Solana and the rest of the crypto space. So make sure you do stay updated and reach out over there with any questions, comments, all that fun stuff below. Looking forward to chatting with everyone over on Twitter. So like everything else in the crypto space, extremely exciting times. Obviously, with a new all-time high, it's even more exciting and a little bit more euphoric right now. So just enjoy the ride and obviously have a plan for selling targets, which we probably will be talking about plenty more on the channel coming up. So if you did enjoy the video, make sure to hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe if you have not done so just yet. And as always, post all questions, comments, issues, disagreements, all that stuff down below in the comment sections. And I do look forward to getting back to each and every one of you. That is going to wrap it up for now. So stay safe, take care, coin traders, and I'll catch you back in the next video.